Now, the panel selection process is one of the reasons they make good decisions. I mentioned earlier that panels are selected at random. And typically, again, with 1,200 clients, everybody does it a little bit differently. But this is one way to do it. What the panel does is what the employee does. They choose their panel. The appellant chooses their panel. And what they do is they reach into a box that contains the names of all of the peers who have been trained and certified to serve as panelists. And they randomly pull out, not 3 names, they need 3, but they get to pull out 6 names. From those 6, they look at those 6, and they can choose the 3 that they want to serve on their panel. But they only get to choose the 3 out of the 6 that they randomly drew. So it gives the employees some control over their panel, but they don't get to keep picking and picking and picking until they find the 3 people that they want. And anybody who is selected who has a conflict of interest of any kind must step down. So that's how they pick their peers. And the same thing is true when they draw management. Remember, they're going to have 2 managers on their panel. They reach into the box that contains the names of all the managers who've been trained and certified. They pull out randomly 4 names, look at the 4 names, and choose 2 to serve on their panel. So again, some clients do it with 5 names to draw 3 or 7 names to draw 3. But typically, the main thing is that it's a random draw and that the employee can't pick everybody that they want, just the people they want. Now, every single person whose name is in that box goes through our training program. They must be certified in a 1-day workshop that certifies them to be a peer review panelist. So here are some of the key elements of the training program. First thing they're taught is how to do an investigation. I mean, what do we do from the moment we walk in that room and sit down to the moment we sign our name on the final answer letter? What do we do? So we teach them step by step how to do the investigation. We teach them how to ask questions. You know, how to do it in a positive, non-threatening way to get the kinds of answers that they need. We teach them effective listening and how important it is that they listen carefully to everything that's being said by everyone who walks in that room. We teach them the ethical and legal guidelines and concerns that they have. You know, whenever you're put in a position to make a decision that affects the career and future and livelihood of a coworker, there are not only ethical issues, but there are legal issues. So we teach them about that. We teach them about discrimination laws. We teach them about privacy rights of employees and make sure that they understand that they have a very powerful and important obligation when they serve on that panel. We teach them about why it is that they have to be confidential, how they could hurt somebody, how they could damage somebody if they violate the employee's confidentiality. And we give them practice case studies so they get a chance to see what it's like to actually serve on a panel when they're in the training. And really the theme of our training is what I call welcome to management. It's a real eye-opener for your employees. You know, we have one case study that I love to talk about where it says to the people in the class, you just served on a panel. You denied an appeal of somebody who was terminated. The next day you're having lunch with a group of your friends and they tell you that you got it all wrong. You never should have denied the appeal. And they start telling you things about the case that you know are untrue. Where they heard them from, who knows? But it's all untrue. And they're accusing you of doing a lousy job of investigating this case and a bad decision, making a bad decision. So the question then becomes, is you as a panelist, what can you say to your friends? What can you say to defend yourselves? And the answer is nothing. And people in the class say, wait a minute, that's not fair. You mean the appellant, the employee, can walk around saying anything they want about the case, even if it's a lie, and even if it makes me look bad, and I can't defend myself even though I know the truth? And you know what our answer is? Welcome to management. That's the responsibility that comes with being in management. And that's why when you're out there on the shop floor or in the office or on the retail sales floor, you only hear half the story about what happens to employees. Because management's not going to tell you their side because they can't, because they have a responsibility to maintain confidentiality. And when you serve on these panels, in the eyes of the law, you're considered management. Why? Because you're making a decision that is binding on the company. That's management. So you have to live up to the laws that management has to live up to. And that means confidentiality. And people walk away saying, wow, I didn't realize how hard it is to be in management. I thought being in management meant you can just do whatever you want and say whatever you want. But no, I mean, there are laws, there are rules, there are policies, there are things that I have to follow as a manager that I might not have to worry about as an employee. It's a tough job. And what the beauty of this is, they walk away from the training with a real appreciation for how hard it is to be in management. And that's great. We also train the facilitator, of course. Now, the facilitator goes through the panelist training, which is a full day, but they also have an additional half a day of training that teaches them how to facilitate the selection of the panelists, how to notify the panelists that they're going to serve, how to prepare for the hearing. It's really important that they prepare well for the hearing. Obviously, how to conduct the hearing, because they're the one that's going to do it. We teach them about the voting procedure and how to make sure that it's done properly and fairly. We teach them how to write answer letters, and we give them samples of answer letters that they can use, because they're the ones who are going to be preparing the answer letter. And they provide the feedback to both the appellant, the employee, and management. So we teach them how to do that as well. So the facilitator role is a very important one. They go through the panelist training, and then they go through additional training to be facilitators. Now, who are the facilitators? Typically, they're someone from human resources, but it doesn't have to be. It has to be somebody with credibility with both management and non-management people, with access to meeting rooms, documents, information that the panel is going to need. So that's who we're looking for to be the facilitator. Now, the final management concern I have on here is how many cases will we get? You know, some managers are afraid that people are going to be lined up at the door to give them hundreds and hundreds of cases, and they're going to be swamped with these cases, and we're not going to be able to get any work done because we're going to be spending so much time handling these cases. You know what? It's just not the case. Obviously, there's no guarantee. I can't guarantee you how many cases you're going to get. But I can tell you this, based on over 25 years, over 1,200 clients, in a typical operation of about 250 employees, you can expect to get 4 to 8 cases per year that are put in writing. That's that step 2 where the employee fills out the form. 3 or 4 of those cases will go to a panel, 1 or 2 of those cases will go to a manager, and 1 or 2 will get resolved at the earlier step. So it's really not that you're going to be overwhelmed. And I always tell our clients, the beauty and the value of having this system is not how many cases you get or what the outcomes of those cases are. It's the fact that you have the system in place. It's the message that you send to your employees about fairness, about trust, about caring, about wanting to do the right thing, and about being teams, a partnership that we can resolve our problems internally. That's the real benefit.